What's up, y'all, and welcome to another episode of the Deaths of the Asia. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the interview that Angela Yee had on the Tamron Hall show. She upset a lot of people in her interview. When she had the interview, she was talking about her departure from the Breakfast Club, and she was talking about her experience as being the only woman as a host on the show. In the interview, Tamarin was trying to get more information about how uh, Angela Yee actually felt as being the woman and the pressure that she may have felt with being the lone woman on the show. And Angela Yee said that she was the only woman on the show, and that was including production as well. That upset DJ Envy, and DJ Envy went online basically saying that's cap. Tamron Hall touched on the fact that a lot of times Angela Yee foot would get held to the fire due to things that either Charlemagne or DJ Envy would say to different guests, especially if it was a woman. A lot of guests will feel as though because Angela Yee is the woman on the show, then she should be speaking up on women's behalf. In particular, it was an interview with Lil Mama. I know that all of y'all remember the interview with Lil Mama where Charlemagne drilled Lil Mama and had her crying on the show, and it was just utterly disrespectful. And Lil Mama was basically saying this needs to stop or make it stop, and nobody chimed in to tell Charlemagne that that's enough. And I know that's something that happened back in the past. Since then, the host on the show, they have matured. They have toned it down a whole lot. However, that Lil Mama interview was the one time that I actually felt as though not just Angela Yee, but any other body that's on that show should have stopped Charlemagne from drilling that girl like that, because what he was drilling her about, it wasn't that serious. He was talking about the time when Lil Mama jumped on the stage doing the Jay-Z and Alicia Keys performance, and when she jumped on the stage, and he's had so much hostility towards her for no reason. And I felt like any and everybody who was in the building should have stepped in and said, hey, y'all need to chill out. So I am not going to put that on Angela Yee and say that she's the one that should have chimed in just because she's a woman and she should have said something. Granted, she should have said something along with others. Now, here's the thing when it comes to Angela Yee on the show, right? Angela Yee is not responsible for uh, calming those guys down, being the security or anything like that. They have their opinion. She has her opinion. This is the part that I do not like about when people be talking about equality, because it seems as though anytime there's a lot of men working with like one or two women or whatever, it seems like there's this is every time the woman leaves the show or leave whatever they're doing, it seems as if there's some type of gender war cry that takes place where people are in the working environment and they say that they want equality, but yet they also want special treatment and special privileges as well. I work on a podcast called the Hip Hop School Past and Present Podcast, and it's really all men. Like Angela Yee was capped when she said it's all men, including the production. It's literally all men, and I'm the only woman on that show, right? And I don't expect for them to hold back what they say, and I'm not holding back what I say because I'm a woman or anything like that. They should be able to say what they want to say, and I should be able to say what I want to say. A lot of times when you on the shows, you will get people, if it's a woman sitting there and it's a lot of men, you'll get people saying, oh, when he say certain things about a woman, then you need to stand up and you need to start a woman's right movement right in the middle of the show. Or if a man's, if I say something about a man, it's like, oh, these men, they need to check me because I need to stay in my place, or I got masculine energy and this, that, and the third. Why do we even have to put genders into play when all of us are the talent that's part of an actual show? And that's the part that I didn't like about the Tamron Hall interview. And because Tamron Hall, she kind of kept trying to push the fact that Angela Yee was the only woman on the show. So what? Why that gotta be the big issue? Because they didn't talk about Angela Yee leaving the show as if it was something that was going on in the background where it was a problem with the guys and it was a problem with the work environment. So she's giving this undertone as if there was a problem with the work environment, as if somebody did something to her. And we got to be careful with things like that, because one of my favorite YouTubers, Funky Dineva, and y'all may hear some of his lingo or whatever all into some of my videos because I love him to death. He's like one of my favorites. He said that he had an experience where he was about to do a television show or a radio show or something of that nature. And being that he's part of the LGBTQ community, the person who was already at the station that was leaving and he was taking that person's spot, he basically said, and I'm paraphrasing, that that person told him to make sure you leave the door open for the next person. I'm leaving the door open for you. You make sure you leave the door open for the next person. And with that being said, in the Angela Yee case, and a lot of women got to be careful with this. You don't have to burn down a house just because you're leaving. Just leave. You know, if it wasn't something that was happening where you needed to have reported to HR, where you were actually being discriminated against, where you were actually being harassed or something like that, it's no point to get on these interviews and speak in a way that will make people believe that you were working in a hostile environment and you were a victim and you need to free yourself. It's no reason for you to do that. And I feel as though when women come out and they do stuff like that, you shutting the door for other women like myself, you know, other women that is in this game, that's coming up, that's trying to do their thing or whatever, that have to work with these men, because we're in this hip hop space. This is a male dominated space. And this not to say kiss ass or let anything slide or let anybody run over you, but you have to pick your battles. Everything is not a thing. Everything is not such a big deal. And a lot of people, they would be talking down on Angela Yee and be like, well, she's a woman, she should have said something. She don't have to say anything to those guys. Like on our show, those guys, they say all kinds of whatever they want to say. That's them, and that's their opinion. I have my opinion, and I'm glad that we do something that is, it's raw, it's rugged, it's not politically correct. We could have that spat on the show where I could say, no, that was some BS. Just for instance, there was a moment where it was something we was talking about on the show, and I was like, no, that's disgusting. I'm not riding with that. I don't have to check them and tell them, no, you need to be quiet. You ought to not say this. I can say, hey, I don't agree with this, right? If y'all watch Fox Soul and y'all watch Claudia Jordan on TGI Friday, and she's on the panel with Al and Funky Dineva, and you know how sometimes they'll have that moment where Funky Dineva say something that Claudia Jordan feel like she needs to step up and, you know, come in the defense of women or something, or Al will say something and she'll say, hey, I don't agree with that, but she ain't checking them like, you ought to not say that. That's not how that goes. It's not how it works. And I feel like we need to be careful with how we fan the flames of this gender war that is going on. It's not always any friction between the men or the women like that. Of course, men and women, we do have different energy in the room. You know, our presence feel a little different. And sometimes we do be in that position where we need to yield to each other. Of course, you always want to be respectful, and you always want to be aware of sensitive issues. You definitely want to do that because you never want to create a hostile environment. But I feel like it was disingenuous for Angela Yee to go on that show and make it seem like she was going through something so traumatic on the Breakfast Club to where she needed to finally speak out about it. Because if that was the case, she stayed when she said that she was leaving, she stayed there for a while. And then, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me, but if I'm not mistaken, she was saying that somebody that's part of the Breakfast Club show, which was a woman, was someone that was helping her do her own show. So I'm not understanding how Angela Yee sat up there and said that there were no women at all. I didn't understand it. So I wasn't feeling it. because it was unnecessary. If she was going through something, she should have spoke out on it. And I don't blame the people who have come out and spoke about how she has been on the show. I don't have an issue with Angela Yee. I think that they were a dynamic trio. They worked very, very, very well together. But quiet as it's kept, I do think that Angela Yee, she started feeling some type of way about Charlemagne when Charlemagne was doing his own thing and Gucci Mane had came on his show and Gucci Mane dragged Angela Yee. So here's the thing, right? Check this out. I think what people problem is like Angela Yee, she want to get mad at Charlemagne for not taking up for her when Gucci Mane was he asking Gucci Mane a question. Gucci Mane, called her out her name and spoke his speech about Angela Yee. And so Angela Yee was expecting for Charlemagne to stand up for her, I guess. But that's the same thing that the women be saying that go on the show. They like, well, Angela Yee, you a woman on the show. You supposed to stand up for us, right? I feel like nobody needs to be standing up for nobody in that instance because it's people giving their honest opinion or whatever. Don't sit up here and make it seem as though, women be calling each other out their name and all this old kind of stuff. And shit, Gucci Mane was feeling in his feelings and he said, that beat, or whatever. He didn't have to go there on that girl, but what the hell Charlemagne looked like? But hold on, bro, that's my sister. You're not about to talk about my sister like that. Like if he had gone too far and just been utterly disrespectful, that's beyond something that is allowed on that platform that they're on, then yeah, shut that down. But he was giving his true feelings because Angela Yee was able to sit on the Breakfast Club and speak how she wanted to speak about Gucci Mane. And another thing we got to get out of is this. If a woman say something about a man, oh, she disrespectful. She need to stay in her place. Or she too masculine. Or if a man say something about a woman, oh, how he a bitch ass nigga because he talking about women. He shouldn't be arguing with women. He shouldn't be going back and forth with women. No, if we all occupy the same space, we're all in the same industry. We all working together. We all have different forms of opinions about each other. We may have dealings with each other and we might rub each other the wrong way. We might not get along. We might like each other, whatever the case may be. If there is some friction and we need to air it out, it's nothing wrong with a man and a woman having that conversation. If it get heated, it just get heated. We at work. We're not dating. And that's what people don't understand. I'm not going to act the same way with the men that I work with versus the man that I'm dating. It's a level. If we're in a professional setting, whatever that is allowed within that professional setting, I'm going there with it. We at work. I'm not your girl. I'm not trying to date you. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm not trying to show you my how soft I am and feminine and delicate or whatever I am. I'm in this male dominated space. You right? So you shouldn't have to be. Also, on the flip side, you shouldn't be having to spare my feelings because I'm a woman or having to be a gentleman and tone down what it is that you say. Because if I'm going towards you with a level of energy, you have a right to come back to me with a level of energy. If you come to me, I got a right to come back at you. We have a right, and people need to stop that. A man has a right to say he has a right to stand up for himself. It's different if it's something that is unrelated and you just under attack. But if there's a rift between us in the industry pertaining to something that has happened in the industry that we're in, I don't see anything wrong with if it's some banter back and forth, because a lot of people be screaming they want equality until it's time to be equal. Don't be screaming you want things to be equal when something happened. Now all of a sudden you want a special privilege or you want to be seen as a woman. No, I want to be seen as your peer. I want to be seen as your co-host. I want to be seen as your teammate. That's what I want to be seen as, whether I'm a woman or not, regardless of my gender. You shouldn't be that shouldn't even be at the forefront of how we interact with each other. Now we all know how not to. You know when you're being disrespectful or not being disrespectful, sexual harassment or something like that. And that goes both ways. Men and women sexual harass each other, right? So we know the things that are put in the handbook where HR said these are things that we shouldn't do, right? But as far as us playing out our job and doing what we are needing to do on the show, then so be it. It is what it is. The gloves are off. It's fair play. And Angela Yee was saying that sometimes, basically, she was making it seem as though sometimes she felt silenced. And I think she may have felt silenced because of being too worried about trying to, they're saying something that is politically correct and trying to drive the conversation in a certain way, that they're saying things that appeal to a certain audience, where they're just raw. Like Charlemagne, he gonna say what it is that he want to say. And so you may feel silenced if you feel as though these people got an opinion that's different than mine, and I feel like I need to voice my opinion in a way to have them to agree with me. And I think that's where people get wrong at. If you just say what it is that you think and let them say what it is that you think, there don't have to be in a friction where you try to convince the person to think how you want them to think. I sit on the panel with, now it's 3 guys. At first, it was 5 of us, and it was all me and the 4 other guys, right? I sit on the panel now on the Hip Hop School Past and Present podcast with 3 other men. Very dominant personalities. They just the way that they are, right? They respect me. They love me. They don't say stuff that I agree with a lot of times, they could say some things that may come off where people will be like, oh, that's sexist, that's misogynistic. It's a woman on the show. She ought to say something to them. That's how they feel, and that's how they think. I'm going to let the people down in the comments chew them up. And I'm going to say what it is that I need to say. It been plenty of times we done been on shows, and it be people down in the comments, and they be talking about me, oh, she's this and she's that. Why the fuck you got the woman on the show? Why is she saying something? All that kind of stuff. That's what that's for. We got a show to do. You know what I'm saying? We can't be worrying about, we're not politicians. We're not out here trying to do different movements or anything like that. We're not out here talking about relationships. We're not out here talking about the relationships between men and women. We're not doing any of those things. We're talking about music, and we're talking about hip hop. And let's be very clear. Hip hop is sexist at some point. It is misogynistic at some point. It is derogatory towards women at some point. But we all indulge in it. So you can't get away from those things and some of those sentiments when you're dealing with hip hop and you're talking about it and you're being real about it. We're not sugarcoating it. It is what it is. Now, we could speak from it from a more evolved place with us being older and being able to say, hey, some of these things shouldn't be, but we'll be forever in the day trying to pull back all of those layers and, correct some things that went wrong. At the end of the day, there are always going to be double standards. Some double standards are actually necessary. And some double standards do need to be respected in instances. We've had people that come on the show and they'll say things like, they'll try to shush me. I get them right on together, and ain't nobody in the comments talking about, oh, she wrong. You try to shush me, I'm gonna let you know, baby, I'm in control of this right now. You came on our show. You know what I'm saying? And whether you have a problem with a woman in power or not, that's on you. I'm in power right now. And right now I have the power. And see, I think that's what a lot of women fail to realize when they are in places of power. They have a problem with executing that power. They know they're in a place of power, but then you also want to play like a victim. I ain't going to do that. If I'm in a place of power, I'm going to let you know, like, let's be very clear. You came over here. And me and my 3 brothers run it over here. You know what I'm saying? And if my anatomy or what have you bothers you, and you got some type of innate issues that you're dealing with as a man where you can't hear these things from a woman, I'm not leaving. You gotta go. You get what I'm saying? That's how that works. You gotta go. Because, and then on top of that, guess what? My brother's gonna back me in it. And I know that for sure. So the thing is Whereas it pertains to Angela Yee, I'm pretty sure if it was ways that she was feeling in a relationship that she had with Charlamagne and DJ Envy or whatever, I think if it was something she was really feeling over there, and she was feeling under a whole lot of pressure, to where she came to them and said, hey, you guys, when y'all be talking like this, I'm the one that's getting beat up for that or whatever. I'm pretty sure she really had that conversation, which I'm sure she didn't. If she would have had that conversation, knowing Charlamagne, especially DJ Envy or whatever, I'm sure they would have had some part in a conversation where they cleared the air and let it be known, hey, look, she ain't got nothing to do with what comes up out our mouth, and she ain't responsible for shushing us. The producers are responsible for if we're saying something wild, and we need to cut it out. That's for them to do, not Angela Yee. Angela Yee is there to co-host along with us and put on the show for the hour, however long that the show is on. That's dead on that. And the people who watching, they need to understand that, But all of this leaving with these undertones of every time it's a it's like almost every time, I kid you not, where it's a situation where it's a woman working with a man, working with men, it's a male dominated space. When a woman leaves, it's always about, oh, I was a woman in this space, how did it feel, how was the respect level of all of this? And why is that a conversation that have to be had? Because nobody is sitting back with the men and having to have the conversation about how we feel being in a male dominated space, and you got this woman in the building, and you got to kind of like tiptoe around what you're saying because you need to respect this woman. That's just like, because to be honest with you, if you want to be very clear, I mean, quiet as it's kept, we're, as women, we're pretty much visitors in this space. To be honest, this is a male dominated space, so we coming in and we're getting, and it's not many of us that get accepted in this space, right? So at some point, you gotta kind of like see people and see what's going on. You can't just come in people's space and start kicking the door in. That's just like going to the barbershop. I know, and it's this, y'all follow me here. It's the same concept, but I just want to bring it into a real life perspective. When I used to go to the barbershop, when I had first went natural, I went to the barbershop, got my hair cut. I did not know some of the stuff that men sat around and talked about, because the barbershop is a different animal. And being a fly on the wall at the barbershop was very interesting. I realized real fast, because sometimes the men will be like, they wouldn't notice me there, or sometimes other men will be like, hey, it's a lady up in here and all this, and they'll, stop what they saying and stop what they doing and all of that and kind of wait till I leave. I'm in their space, right? And at some points, I was just like, I realized real fast that I'm really not supposed to be up in here, but I'm in this bitch. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting around and I'm like, okay, this is different, right? It had got to the point where I'm like, I'm knowing I'm occupying y'all space, and this is where y'all come and, shoo and talk about your wives, talking about your extra marital activities and things, and just random women and stuff like that. And it had got to the point where I wasn't in no space to be telling these men in the space. I walked in their space trying to tell them, hey, you ought to not talk about this. You ought to not talk about that. I just got to the point where I was like, y'all, look, I'm here to get my hair cut. I put my earbuds in or whatever and tune them out, because some of the men, y'all know men just gross. It's just gross. Like, no, I'm not saying it no bad way, but men just cut up and say all kinds of foolishness. It's funny because it's just like, y'all, this will be on y'all mind. These one or two, it be like only two or three things that men actually think about, that I realize they don't think about a whole lot of stuff. They don't think about. They think about food, money, and sex. So that's the only thing that I was hearing them talk about, but they go all the way in with it, right? So I realized real fast, hey, I'm in a space though, right? And I gotta respect that, and they're not gearing anything towards me, and I can't stop them from expressing themselves, because guess what? When me and the girls, we get around each other and we go to the salon, or we go and have our girls trips and parties, and we get the shoe showing about the men. A man don't want to sit in and hear what we saying, because we say some foolishness that if a man sitting around listening to I don't even want to be part of this conversation. And I know the men that's out there listening know what I'm talking about. Y'all don't want to sit around and be around a whole, even whether you part of the conversation or not, just to hear the conversation that women are having. Y'all don't be want to hear this shit, right? Y'all at that point are in our space, so y'all don't have a right to be telling us, oh, we shouldn't be talking about this, because matter of fact, you're outnumbered, you can leave. you know we're not gonna disrespect you, but all at the same time, how we get down in our space, that's our space. Now with Angela Yee, Charlamagne the God, DJ Envy, that's a work environment, but the people, she gotta understand, and the people that's listening gotta understand the dynamic of what it is that's going on. And I don't think Angela Yee experienced anything that was that serious to where she had to go on Tamron Hall show and do that. Matter of fact, I look at it like this, and maybe I could be insensitive when I say this. Did it stop her bag? With the people who were saying Angela Yee ought to take up for them, and Angela Yee, she should speak out more as a woman. It didn't stop her bag. It didn't stop her opportunity. I would have, if I was Angela Yee, I would have let that bother me, right? Because sometimes people are not comfortable with speaking out and trying to control the room and try to tell people what to do. And she's not there to be the security and tell those guys what to do. She kept her job with the Breakfast Club. She had her other opportunities as well. It didn't stop her bad. You could ask anybody. You can ask my brothers. You know what I'm saying? My co-host from my show, Hip Hop School Past and Present. You can ask them. I don't give a damn what nobody say. I really don't. I find comments absolutely hilarious. You know what I'm saying? I will argue back with people. I really will argue back with people. And it ain't nothing. And guess why I argue back with people? Because it's part of engagement. I argue back with you. I would Cardi B the fuck out of a comment section. I would be all up in the comment section arguing with you and really don't care about what it is that you're saying. It just drives the conversation. You trolling, I'ma troll you back. That's just me. And the Lord is still working on me. I haven't matured to the level to stop doing it, but I'm gonna argue back with you. But I don't harbor any feelings towards it, because I know that is something. Let me tell you something. In this space, it doesn't matter whether you're in this space or any other space where word of mouth counts, and people need to know that you exist in order for what you're doing to grow. People got to understand, whether somebody is talking bad about you or they talking good about you, you're doing something because they're talking about you. There's some relevancy to you for them to be having a conversation about you. Something that you have said has really impacted them in a way to where they're talking about you. See, I look at it like this. You're watching me. Angela Yee, they were watching you. They were coming on your show having feelings and talking about it. People was watching you having feelings, talking about it. They drop it down in the comments. If these comments and these opinions that people have of you, if they are not stopping your bag, don't worry about it. Now, if it gets to the point where, we live in this cancel culture that it's not real, but it can temporarily affect you financially. And in some cases, it could really have a strong impact on your finances. If it's something where it's hitting you real, real hard or whatever, you feel like you need to pull back and, rebrand or refocus and do things a little bit differently, that's absolutely okay. But it ain't until it get to that I will trip off of it, and I damn sure wouldn't be working with a group of people where we started out pretty much from the ground up and we have built the empire together, and we're going to have men and women think different. We express ourselves differently. Our perspectives on things is different, and it's like that for a reason. We're wired different. So men gonna come off sideways or like something off with them to us. Men, we come off crazy and sideways to men, right? You know what I'm saying? So just because we're wired different and we think differently as a whole, there's gonna be a level of clashing that's gonna go on. But when you have a solid team, you should be able to have those conversations. Me and my co-host, we argue all the time because you got me fucked up. I love you though. You get what I'm saying? I love you, but you got me fucked, and I'm gonna tell you that. And we gonna be all right because we gonna keep it moving because we gonna put it out there. And I think that's the thing with a lot of people on these different shows that they work together. You got this these panel casts. People be scared to just say what it is and tell people how they feel. If you feel like, hey, Charlamagne, Angela, you feel like Charlamagne doing too much, DJ Envy doing too much, you need to tell them that they doing too much. And then if they keep on the show, hey, bro, I'm going to air you out like right here, right now. I ain't finna tell your business or whatever the case may be when I say air you out, but I'm going to check you on what you doing because I done told you behind the scenes. And if you don't correct this on the camera, then yeah, I'm finna make an announcement. It's finna be a PSA. That's just what it is, you know. And the guys have a right to do that too. It is on our show. I get checked all the time, and I do some straightening myself. There's no bosses. There's no one over anybody, you know. And people got to be comfortable in playing a role and just knowing that we live in a society where the masses hadn't caught up to certain things yet. So sometimes you just got to take some of the backlash that comes with it. There is no show that is a running active show, that's a successful show that doesn't face criticism all day long. But to make pretend as if your work environment was this hostile work environment, while these people are over here basically trying out a new host, and they have had a lot of women come in and sit that could potentially take that place. I think they'll probably be a little bit hesitant about having another woman join the show because look what happened. We had a woman on the show, she leave the show, and now she tried to make it seem like we done did something to her to where she had to flee and go find her peace. I think in a lot of cases, Angela Yee was being selfish and self-centered in a lot of things, where if stuff wasn't going her way, then she got an issue with it. If stuff ain't going your way, sometimes you just gotta tune it out. If people saying something wild, you just gotta say what it these platforms are opinion based. It's opinion based platforms, right? It goes without saying that everyone has a right to their opinion. Why would people be worrying about what Angela Yee do with the opinions of Charlamagne and DJ Envy? Let me check some of these comments. John Westby, and thank y'all so much for tuning in. Those of you who haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. John Westby said, I feel like she did not fit in because she is too proper and uptight when everybody else was laid back. Yeah, that's the thing. If you was watching earlier, I pretty much touched on it, where she want things to go how she has a particular way that she see things going. And if it doesn't go like that, then she just has a problem with the whole thing, right? No, that's not cool. These people opinion, and you might have wanted to be, look, when hip hop is fun. I love hip hop. Like, I'm such a hip hop girl, it's crazy. I love hip hop. Hip hop is fun. It's raw. I feel like in hip hop, that's where we get a chance to, like, we get to play rough, you know, we get to have fun. It's not politically correct. It's too much contradiction in hip hop for it to be. It's not politically correct or whatever the case may be. It's like, I don't want to be on no hip hop show and people sitting up there, oh, I can't say this, I can't say that, or I'm gonna offend somebody. I come from a different era, you know, and Angela Yee is older than me, so I know she come from that era. She know where it was the time, you know, in TV, music, and everything. Say whatever it was, you know, them comedians back in the day or whatever. They want man. Some of the cartoons and the TV shows back in the day, they weren't gonna make it. today. It wasn't no way you could have a Sanford and Son or the Jeffersons or stuff like that now. A Richard Pryor, a Bernie Mac. It's no way. Right now in this climate, it's no way because everybody is super sensitive. And I feel like people who are not even that sensitive, you came up in a different era. You want to take on the sensitivities of these people, these new ass people in this era. And we get caught up in there where everything, oh my God, that is insensitive. You cannot have any opinion, critique on anything. You could love somebody down. For instance, I'm gonna veer off the topic a little bit. For instance, I love Rihanna down. I don't think it's too many. It ain't nobody that I know personally that like Rihanna more than I do. Like, I love Rihanna down. In my book, Rihanna can do no wrong. I think she's absolutely beautiful, talented. She's dope personality. I buy her products. You see the pretty skin. Yes, God, Fancy Beauty. Let's be very clear. Love her down. You hear me? But when I said I didn't like her Super Bowl performance, oh no, you bringing another black woman down. We can't stick together for nothing. It's like, damn, my opinion of people always got to be something in their favor. I can't disagree with nothing. Somebody that I wholeheartedly support, I think it's absolutely dope, absolutely gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. You know what I'm saying? They're just like say for instance, Funky Dineva. That's my favorite YouTuber. Like, I want to do a show with Funky Dineva one day. Like, that's just what it is. I love Funky Dineva, right? And it's some other ones that I love as well, but that's the top dog for me. If I've said things where I didn't agree with Funky Dineva. Funky Dineva be saying some bullshit a lot of times. You hear me? I have a right to say that. Why I can't critique someone just because I love them? It's nothing wrong with that. To critique, it's okay for us to say no. Something is not good. We live in this world where everybody want a participation trophy, and we feel like you do anything mediocre that's good enough, and you should get standing ovations for it, and nobody should critique anything that you say. Let me tell you something. Music is art. Performing is art. Sitting in front of this camera talking to you guys is art. I am now considered a public figure. Once you cut on the camera and you start going live and you're talking to people and you start putting your opinions out here in the universe, you're creating art. You're creating some type of energy or whatever. People who are looking at you doing what it is that you're doing, where you have put yourself in front of them for them to consume what it is that you have, whatever your product is, and you have put yourself in front of them. At that point, they have a right to critique you. They have a right. You're putting yourself in front of them. You're needing them to buy into what it is that you're selling, whether it's a product, your personality, or whatever it is. So their opinion at that particular time, it matters. People want to say your opinion don't matter. The opinion matters to that extent because, yeah, it matters because you want to hear, you need to hear, right? The opinion don't matter as far as how you should feel, but the opinion is matter as far as how you need to move and where you need to go. You need to figure out where your audience is at, especially with starting out. You need that critique. You have people that they'll tell you when they starting off in music and they doing their first song and they want people to listen to it, that's going to give their honest opinion because that's going to help guide them in the future endeavors, right? But it seems like once person gets cemented in what it is that they're doing and they have become successful and people start loving on them and upholding them as if they're some type of God or whatever, at that point, you no longer can have an opinion about them unless it's something that is pleasant. I ain't got to be nasty, but I can have an opinion, right? And that's the thing with Angela Yee. I feel as though sometimes she'll look at it and her silence on things. And what it seems is a lot of people had a problem with the fact that Angela Yee, and I keep messing up this girl name. Y'all know who I'm talking about, Angela Yee. If I mess it up, just keep it moving. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Just bear with me here. I ain't gonna hold you. y'all know that a lot of people were criticizing her about the fact that she would be silent when certain things happen. And it could just be a level of uncomfortableness that she felt, right? That silence it speaks to people as well when you're silent in a situation. So that's probably her way of bearing with it, like, hey, you know what? Instead of giving her opinion, I'ma shut down. And I think that's when she felt like she was being silenced by them. They're not silencing you. You chose to be quiet. You chose not to say something, right? Some people will say, well, Charlamagne and DJ Envy, they'll interrupt her a lot. You got three people talking on a podcast. Motherfuckers gonna interrupt each other. Just stop it. People gonna interrupt each other. Stop it. It ain't like they just, you know, it was times where when you could tell that there's friction, and it's okay. Quit acting like, I'm telling you something. People be acting like when they watching other people that they are, when they watching people in their professional environment, they fail to realize that they are humans. Like, it'd be times where there was friction between Angela Yee and Charlamagne, and it was very clear. But then people be like, well, Charlamagne keep interrupting her. Well, he don't like her right now. She don't like him right now. They into it. They mad. So they being petty. It is what it is, you know. But ladies and gentlemen, dogs, cats, boys and girls, we got to be very careful on how we fan the flames of this gender war. We got to be very careful with that. John Westby said she may not be able to voice her opinion well because she never had a strong voice. That's why I didn't think she fit. And that's true. I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's what I deal with on my show. I would have people that be like, oh, Deasia, you're masculine. No, I got a voice. That's all. Um, and that's just it, you know. And I'm not doing anything no different than anybody else. I'm just stating my opinions. And sometimes when you are, and I do understand, sometimes she may have felt that because if she is an opinionated woman, sometimes you get looked at sideways for that. But she's on a show that is there for her to give her thoughts and for her to give the opinions. And people need the people that is viewing things, they need to understand what they're looking at, where they're at, and what's going on. Everything can't be judged the same way. You can't judge me in a space where I'm on a hip hop show having a hip hop conversation. We talking about uh these I've seen rap lyrics. You know, we talking about this rough environment, and you expect for me to be meek and mild in the conversation. It's not gonna work like that. You know, you will end up feeling like you're in someone's shadow or you don't have a voice if you try to always making sure you're trying to present yourself a certain type of way, and you're trying to make sure you're protecting your image. You got your image so close to your chest where you can't even be yourself, when the image that you think, and in the process of you trying to protect this image, you actually making yourself look bad. Whereas people like when you are being genuine and you're being yourself. If that's just really you, be you. Because when you're not doing it, and we could kind of tell that you kind of like holding stuff in or whatever, people ain't gonna do nothing but say you fake. That's all they're gonna do. And that's what be happening with Angela Yee. Now you want to be, I want to present myself like this, but then yet you go do a show called Lip Service, and the only thing you doing about is talking about is having sex. So why not? You would have been better off, to me. It's just letting it all out as far as getting up and hanging in there with the guys on the Breakfast Club. And I'm gonna tell you something, believe it or not, people like when it's a show that is going on and a woman is able to just be in there with the guys, where it's not a distinction that it's the woman and we gotta hold back. They like shows where, you know what, oh, she can hold her own with the guys. They like that. Don't be over there seeming, acting like meek and mild, and you want to present yourself a certain way because you're around these men and you want the world to see you a certain way. But however, you go over here and you do a show called Lip Service, and it's all raunchy or whatever. So you got it in you. It doesn't mean that you need to talk about sex on the Breakfast Club, because that's not that type of show. But you can't go and try to paint one image of yourself over here, then you get over here and we see that you got this other side. You try to suppress it over here, which really we need you to be having that same energy on the Breakfast Club, that same type of personality on the Breakfast Club, but you don't want to do it over there for whatever reason. But you get over here and you let it all out, but then you still want people to look at you a certain way when you're in the space around men. That's just kind of like, I'm gonna tell you something, and this is not talking about her or anything, but this is just the real life analogy that I can make to tie this together. That's like, you know how a hoe will be a hoe, but get around men and want them to respect her. Like, oh, you need to respect me, because when she in the space of men, I need you to respect me. But when you over here with your girls, you disrespecting yourself. So it's the same kind of thing with y'all get what I'm saying? Not calling her how I'm just, that was the best analogy that I can pull out on the top of my head, how it'd be a difference of you doing one thing over here, but then when you get in this space with the men, because they're a man now, they gotta act a certain way towards you when you don't even require this shit for real. You just feel like you're supposed to get it because, oh, he's a man and they gotta handle me a certain kind of way, when that's really not your requirement, bitch. Stop playing. But I'm not calling her bitch. I'm saying in general. I'm not calling her bitch. That was just saying in general. I gotta make that very clear or whatever. But anyway, y'all, thank y'all so much for joining in. Let me catch this last comment and I'm gonna get off here. John Westby say, I get that because I was thinking that she wants to look good in front of the men. Exactly. So you get my point of what I'm saying. I just was using that analogy because that's how it be, And men do the same thing too. It's what is it called? Shape shifting. I don't know what it's called. Code switching. It's code switching. That's what it is. Code switching. Anyway, thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm about to tune out. Make sure y'all subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, share the video. Make sure y'all go over to the Hip Hop School Past and Present podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got a dope show coming up next week. You don't want to miss that. I'm gonna put the link. I don't have the link in the comments yet, but I'm gonna put the link. I'm gonna put the link in the description for the Hip Hop podcast. It comes on at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time every Friday. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I'm about to tune out. Y'all have a good one.
I hope you black men were paying attention. I hope you black men were paying attention.